Imagine being so despised that Mark Twain himself wrote that your death would be celebrated across America. This was Jay Gould, the man dubbed the most hated man in America. I'm Artie Fisher and you're watching Secrets Unveiled. Today we're going to talk about the most hated man in America and his masterclass in market manipulation. A story so wild, it forced America to rewrite its financial laws. But who was this mysterious figure that earned such widespread contempt? How did a poor farm boy from upstate New York become one of the most powerful and feared men in American history? Before we jump into today's wild story about America's most notorious robber baron, do me a quick favor. If you enjoy learning about these forgotten stories and hidden schemes, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell. As a new channel, every like and comment helps spread these incredible stories to more people. Now, grab your top hat and your stock certificates, because we're heading back to the Gilded Age, where one man turned Wall Street into his personal chessboard and nearly broke America in the process. But who was this mysterious figure that earned such widespread contempt? How did a poor farm boy from upstate New York become one of the most powerful and feared men in American history? The year is 1836. In the rugged Catskill Mountains of New York, a small farmhouse sits nestled between rocky hills and dense forest. Here young Jay Gould's story begins, not with silver spoons and privilege, but with calloused hands and frozen mornings. By age 6, Jay was already keeping the farm's books. While other children played, he was calculating profit margins on his father's dairy products. The local schoolteacher would later recall that young Jay could calculate mentally faster than older students could with pencil and paper. But formal education wasn't in the cards for Jay. His father needed him on the farm, and school was limited to a few winter months when the fields lay dormant. Yet Jay was relentless. He'd study by candlelight, teaching himself advanced mathematics from borrowed books, often falling asleep with calculations scattered around him. At age 14, he made his first bold move. Using money he'd saved from raising cattle, Jay bought himself a set of surveying tools. He taught himself the trade through a borrowed textbook, practicing by mapping the harsh Catskill terrain in between farm chores. By 16, he'd turned this self-taught skill into his first business venture. The local landowners, impressed by his precision and work ethic, hired him to survey their properties. Soon, he was making more money than his father's struggling farm ever had. But Jay wasn't content just measuring the land. He was learning its value, understanding property lines, and most importantly, spotting opportunities. His first published work, a detailed map of Delaware County that he completed at age 20. He went door to door selling subscriptions to fund it, walked hundreds of miles to survey it, and even learned map engraving to produce it. The map was a masterpiece of detail and a testament to his ruthless determination. But it wasn't surveying that would make Gould infamous. After amassing a small fortune through his map, making and land surveying business, he set his sights on a new kind of conquest: financial warfare. In the 1860s, America was in the throes of the Gilded Age, a period of explosive industrial growth and unprecedented wealth accumulation. While titans of industry like Rockefeller and Carnegie were building their empires, another breed of opportunist had emerged, the robber barons. And among them, Jay Gould stood out as particularly ruthless. Unlike the industrialists who built their fortunes through manufacturing and innovation, Gould mastered the art of financial manipulation. His tactics were simple but devastating: buy up struggling companies, loot their assets, then use those ill-gotten gains to acquire even more firms. He didn't build empires, he conquered them. Gould didn't see the stock market as a means to create value, he viewed it as a battlefield. And he was a 5-star general, deploying a relentless arsenal of schemes, insider trading, and outright fraud to seize control of industries from railroads to gold. Enter James Fisk Jr., Gould's partner in crime and perhaps the perfect complement to his calculated ruthlessness. While Gould was quiet and methodical, Fisk was loud, flamboyant, and earned himself the nickname Diamond Jim. Like Gould, Fisk came from humble beginnings. He started as a traveling circus peddler, then worked his way up to running a successful silk business during the Civil War, though his success came largely from smuggling Southern cotton through Union lines. Gould and Fisk first joined forces in 1867 to take control of the Erie Railroad. The pair made perfect partners: Gould, the shadowy puppet master, and Fisk, the boisterous showman who loved nothing more than thumbing his nose at New York's elite. Fisk used his newfound wealth to buy the Grand Opera House in New York City, living in an apartment upstairs where he hosted lavish parties. He installed himself as an admiral of his own private navy and colonel of the 9th Regiment of the New York National Guard, often parading around in uniform, despite no military experience. Together, Gould and Fisk orchestrated the infamous gold conspiracy of 1869. While Gould worked behind the scenes, bribing officials and manipulating markets, Fisk was the public face of their scheme, brazenly buying up gold and driving prices skyward. The gold conspiracy would prove to be their most infamous collaboration. The scheme was audacious yet brilliant in its simplicity. Gould and Fisk realized that if they could corner the gold market, they could control its price. But there was one problem: the U.S. Treasury could release gold reserves at any time, destroying their plan. So Gould went to work on President Ulysses S. Grant himself. He befriended Grant's brother-in-law, Abel Corbin, and even arranged for Fisk to meet the president at a church service. Through Corbin, they fed Grant economic arguments about why high gold prices would help farmers sell their crops abroad. The manipulation began. Throughout September 1869, Gould and Fisk bought more and more gold. The price began to climb, per ounce. Speculators jumped in, sensing a boom. Meanwhile, Gould was secretly selling gold through shadow accounts even as Fisk publicly proclaimed gold would hit $200. September 24, 1869, Black Friday. As gold hit $162, panic gripped Wall Street. Businesses couldn't fulfill contracts. Foreign trade ground to a halt. The stock market plunged. And then came the telegram that ended all. President Grant had authorized the Treasury to release millions in gold. The price of gold collapsed. Fortunes vanished in minutes. Banks failed. Businesses went bankrupt. The New York Stock Exchange shut down for 10 days. But Gould, he'd already sold most of his gold at peak prices, walking away with an estimated profit of $11 million, around $200 million in today's money. Fisk brazenly declared bankruptcy, claiming he couldn't pay his debts. Gould, meanwhile, slipped away in a carriage, reportedly wearing a disguise to escape angry investors. When the dust settled, the nation was in shock. Congress launched an investigation, but Gould's careful plotting meant little could be proven. The gold conspiracy had exposed the fragility of America's financial system. New regulations would follow, but Gould had learned a valuable lesson. There was more money in railroads than gold. And that's where he would turn his attention next. Gould's railroad empire would make his gold schemes look like child's play. His strategy was ruthless, but effective: buy struggling railroads at rock-bottom prices, manipulate their stock value through false information and bribery, then either sell at a profit or strip the companies for parts. At his peak, Gould controlled over 15% of America's railroad tracks, more than 15,000 miles of rail. He didn't just own trains, he controlled the arteries of American commerce. And he used this power mercilessly. At his peak, Gould controlled over 15% of America's railroad tracks, more than 15,000 miles of rail. He didn't just own trains, he controlled the arteries of American commerce. And he used this power mercilessly. The press branded him a dark genius and a monster. Political cartoonists depicted him as an octopus, his tentacles strangling American commerce. Even other robber barons kept their distance, wary of his cutthroat tactics. But here's the twist: Gould's tactics, though shocking in his time, helped create the modern financial system. His manipulation of stocks, bonds, and gold revealed weaknesses in the market that led to stronger regulations. Yet there was another side to Gould, At home, he was a devoted family man who loved orchids and wrote poetry. He died in 1892, leaving behind a fortune worth over $84 billion in today's money, and a legacy that would forever change American business. So was Jay Gould truly the monster history remembers? Or was he simply playing the game better than anyone else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you've made it this far, thanks for sticking around. I know we covered a lot of ground today. This era of American history is filled with fascinating characters like Gould. Who would you like to hear about next? Maybe Cornelius Vanderbilt, the original railroad king. Jim Fist's dramatic rise and fall. Or perhaps Madam C.J. Walker, America's first self-made female millionaire. Drop your suggestions below.